Let's call to order the March 11th PACE Review Committee meeting, and let's begin our meeting with everybody rising and doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. And let's do a roll call so that we know who everyone is. I'm Jim Bartlett. Champ Clausen.
Kara Fox.
Laura Lawson.
And before we get started, a few things I think we need to explain. The PACE Review Committee does not actually approve the grants. We hear your proposals and review the proposal. We use a score sheet to score each proposal, and there's a minimum score, and those projects that meet the minimum score, we then refer to the Board of Public Works, and the Board of Public Works actually approves or disapproves the grants at their next meeting. Typically, they approve them. Now, we have a minor complication this month in that all but one of our grants this month fall into the 25% group of grants, and by that I mean our money at the beginning of the year is split into two different buckets. There's a 25% bucket, which is the city at large with rehab grants, and then there's a 75% bucket, which is a target area of the city and any dilapidated or dangerous structures. The 25% area, which all but one of our applications this month falls under, if all of the applications meet the minimum score, there's not enough money to fund all of those applications. So they will be funded in order of the highest score. So whatever the lowest score is on the score sheets would then not be funded if, in fact, we reach that point where we're shy on money. The 75% area has plenty of money left, so that will be able to continue through the rest of the year. Any questions there? I mentioned that the recommendation from this board goes to the Board of Public Works. You do not need to be present at the Board of Public Works. After they approve the grants, then you'll be notified that the grant was approved. At the end of this meeting, we will review the scores. The four score sheets will be averaged together, and that's the score that that particular project receives, and we'll receive those averages at the end of the meeting. You're welcome to stay if you want to. You don't have to. And then, like I say, based on those scores, we'll make the recommendation to the Board of Public Works.
I got a question. But we don't cut the mustard and the scores that can we put in for next year then?
There's no reason that you can't reapply.
Okay.
And
Basically, you're gonna run out of money, so there might be some high scores go by the wayside.
it's possible. It's possible. And like I say, I want it to be clear on the front end that if we reach that point where we don't have enough money to fund all of the qualifying scores, the lowest qualifying score would be what would not be funded. The highest would be, and it would work its way down in order of score.
I see.
Any other questions before we get started? Okay, with that, we have an amendment we need to hear on 215 East Street. Do we have a representative here to discuss that?
He's calling.
Oh.
Or I'm calling.
Hello, Stu speaking.
Hi, Stu. This is the PACE meeting.
Oh, hello.
Yes, sir. I'd like to hear your amendment.
Okay. Well, as you know, when you go to plan something, sometimes things just cost a little more than you anticipate, and the contractor's estimate was more than we had anticipated, with a few minor changes where the costs went up. And the biggest one was the front porch where the poles were. We were hoping to keep the two large 6x6 poles there. When we started taking the porch down, they were not salvageable, and so those ended up being like they're like 8x8s, and much sturdier to hold up the porch where it wouldn't fall down, which it was getting ready to do, which we didn't know. And then on the side where we took the aluminum patio off, there was more rafter damage that we did not expect or did not see once we got the fascia off, and so we had to work on the rafters of the roof there, and then it required some more shingles because of that, because we had to go further up into the roof to fix the rafter tails. That was where the majority of it was. I don't have the estimate in front of me. I apologize, but I do know that's where the majority of the excess, if you want to call it excess, the amendment came from.
Okay. And my understanding is that the amendment you're asking for is an additional $1,137.50.
That is correct, sir.
Okay, very good. All right. Do we have any questions over here?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much for calling.
And I'll call you tomorrow with the results.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. And with that, we're ready to get into our new projects. Our first project is 1-6 LLC. Ms. Sage, are you here to represent that?
I am. Do you want me to come up here?
Yes, please.
All right. So I have some additional pictures. I just thought they might be interesting. I took them today, actually. We're in the middle. Can I approach? Okay. We're in the middle of a big construction project at our office, and these are the pictures I took today. So it's kind of crazy. So our building, I don't know if anyone's been there before, but, or all of you have been there before, but it's a 30,000 square feet building. It's a 1840s, 1850s wagon wheel and wagon spoke manufacturing company that was converted into a law office. We moved in about 1996, and it was finished, construction was finished about 1997. So we were in there while it was still being built. And I've been a lawyer there since 1994 with that group, and has changed over the years. We just recently changed our name from Alcorn Sage Schwartz McGrath to West Sixth Law because we really like the name. And it's actually named after, we're at the intersection of West Street and 6th Street, so we named the law office, the name of the law firm after our location. Last summer we started a project where we have contractors. It's actually Anderson Restoration, and we got their name from historic Madison because they've done a lot of restoration for a lot of the brick historic buildings all over downtown Madison. And we hired them, and they're going around the outside of our building from one end all the way around and tuck pointing and repairing all of the brick. And some of the brick on our building was soft, like clay, almost soft. And there were spots, if you kicked it really hard, you could put an indentation in the brick. And so some of the bricks were literally original. So they needed to be carved out and replaced. What I've learned about brick, historic brick, is that you can't just buy a new brick and put it in the place of a historic brick. You actually have to go find other historic bricks from the same period and purchase them and replace them with like bricks. So, as they went around the building, eventually they ran out of bricks. And so we are spending about $300,000 for this project on our building, and they have now gotten to the chimney, and they needed to purchase 8,000 more bricks to replace the chimney. The chimney is a big industrial smokestack, basically on the back of our building. It's been there since the 1800s, and it's about 2 stories high, maybe 3 stories high above the top of the building in the back there. And so they have scaffolding around it, and they're going around replacing each and every brick as they need to. Some are salvageable, and then they're going to cap the top of it, and they're going to completely preserve the building exactly as it has been for a very long time. And the hope is that, we'll be able to save it and preserve it for the future. We were really excited because our building was on the Christmas tour of homes this year, and we got to show it off, and we just really love our building and want to take care of it. So that's why we asked for some more money.
It's very
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you. When something breaks at our building, it's expensive because it's the first whatever ever invented that breaks. Like, some of the electrical wiring was the wiring that's wrapped in fabric. So it's just part of taking care of an old building is it's just expensive. So we were asking for a PACE grant to participate in the money that we're spending on the building. You guys have any questions about it?
And if that's the brick group that I think it is, I've seen some of their other work around town. They do an excellent job.
They're excellent. I think they did some of the Schofield window house down here.
Mhm.
And they've done, they've taught me a lot about brick. We've had the brick repaired before. In fact, about a decade ago, we spent $40,000 on some of the brick, and they had to completely redo all that because we used modern mortar and modern bricks, and apparently that's a no-no. But anyway, we're doing it right this time, so.
Any questions, folks?
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, do we have someone here from 515 Jefferson Street?
Hello. I'm
Good
here,
afternoon.
Representing Mike and Dee Dee Smith at 515 Jefferson. They've got an old original carriage house that was built in the early 1800s, which was part of the Alling House, which is to the north of them on Jefferson, in which that was probably in the first stage, they owned that whole quarter block. And so they own that, and they've got 6 windows in there, 4/4, which are the original footprint, but of the 4/4 window units. And they got casing around the perimeter, and but they have been reworked, and if you do not use the proper wood, it will rot quickly if it's not the original old growth. And so we're wanting to completely replicate what is there and rebuild them, basically.
So is that an alley that's,
They're right
Yes.
on the corner of the alley. And then you have that stone structure,
Mhm.
which was the old livery stable. So you can imagine the setting, the hub was right right there. The old timers, I would say, I can see John Paul and Richard Talbot at the top of Milton Hill, them old dogs, on horses, just cruising around on their horses, and the elevation, and remember the big flood that happened. Madison was pretty much a peninsula. So
Are those the windows on the alley?
there's no windows facing any of the alleys.
Is there a lot behind it?
Well, there are four. The building is literally right on the corner of the crossroads of the alley.
Gotcha.
And so the west side on the alley, no windows. Just got a couple little diamond shapes and just cut out, and they're covered now. And then on the south side, there is a double-car garage door. And then so you have 2 windows on the north end, then you have 4 windows on the east side.
Roger, my question would be about visibility. So, from either one of the roadways, would this project be visible?
By the alley, it would be, yes. Yeah, it's an original piece of historical architecture, right in the hub of downtown Madison.
And that's a nice wide alley. I mean, it's
Well, it's, yeah.
better
You
than
can get the
some.
you can
Better
get the
than
garbage
some.
truck through it
Yeah.
still, yeah.
And you're using as close to original materials, correct?
Well, it'll be identical to what was there, but not, I'm going to be using some red grongus or sapele, something that's out of South America. You can't really get any of this. You don't want to use any type of new growth tulip poplar today. It'll
Right.
rot. So you got to get something that's going to withstand the weather.
What do they use the building for?
A garage. But you want to think about someone, another 20, 30 years, will come in and buy that piece of real estate and convert that. It could be easily put into a nice carriage house.
So are they planning on keeping it then? Or?
Oh, yes. That's why wanting to try to keep the footprint of the structure.
Do we call that the residences?
And they will be glazed
Do we
sash.
consider that the residence with the
No
green
insulation.
space?
I would consider it residence.
Authentic. True divided, mortise and tenon.
Okay. I'm good.
Any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. Do we have someone here representing 418 East Second?
Hello. I am the owner at 418 East Second Street. I've lived there for 20-something years, and it is a very old home. It's the original one. If you know where Mrs. Boone's old bridal shop is, she was made later, attached later, so my house was the original house that was on that lot. I have attempted to start restoration on that house a couple years ago, ran out of money, quickly, goes fast. Been trying to do brick repair and mortar work. As we were doing that, we found a lot of bricks had to be replaced due to deterioration of bricks. They're several layers thick. So I anticipate the same thing because we're wanting to finish that project. So when we first started, we started with the worst versus what looks best to the street. So we started with the side. We got almost the whole side done. We still have a front and a back to do and partial side. I anticipate that we will run into more brick and mortar work and possible brick repair. In the back, I have over the door lintel, there's a bulge in the wall where the brick is pushing out. And because of that, it's putting pressure. Our door is starting to get harder and harder to open to leave the back room. And it kind of falls in between the bottom, and there's a porch there. So I have Dennis Webster, who is going to be doing the work, and he said that to repair that, we have to remove it because there's something going on in it to push it out, because it's a pretty noticeable push. In the front, I know it's affected some of the windows as far as it's leaking. One of our windows, it's leaked enough through the brick to affect the plasters crumbling in the house. So it's a pretty imperative thing to try to get this done. The porch removal on the back would allow for that repair of that lintel and that bulging wall. I know that there's front door damage due to weather because there's no real protection. The weather hits that. It sometimes leaks through the door. We would like to replace some of the hood, like moldings that were originally above the bottom two windows, because at one time there was an old German family that lived there and they had taken them off. And so, you know, the progression is fix the worst, fix the bricks, do all that, repair the leaks, all those things. And then if we can get to that point and we have enough money, we would like to repair the front facade like it was when they had those moldings, and maybe do something to protect the door that would kind of fit in with that like era look to kind of give it some more repair. Any of the like moldings, like the modified ash would be used, thermally modified ash would be used when replacing moldings that need to be replaced. He'll be using the sand and lime, like mortar that's supposed to be done. Like I said, we had previous work done, we ran out of money, and we did find that there was a lot of bricks that had crumbled, you know, when you went back. So there was a lot of repair. So I anticipate that again, especially since I'm seeing some damage. So that's the big things. I don't know, is there anything I'm missing, Dennis, that you can think of?
The porch, is that in the back of the house?
It is in the
correct,
back
not
of
on
the house.
Side? So, and then that house.
The side
the
porch
back
is fine,
where the,
I think.
alley and the parking lot for the churches on Second Street?
Yes. So, and it was one of the big pig owners in the town who originally built that house back in the I traced it back to when John Paul owned land, but not, I kind of think it's around 1830 to 1840 is what I found out at the courthouse, but we're not exactly sure. But anyway, it's a very nice house. It just needs a lot of love, and I'm trying to give it to it. So I'm hoping I can get some help to give it the love it needs. I think that's the big things. So it's a progression, you know, depending on how much brickwork and repair mortar needs, depending on what we can get to, because like I would like to get to that point where the front facade has got the matching things, because the upstairs windows still have those.
Why did somebody remove those?
Well, because they put a porch on it. So that older German family, I think they owned a bakery in town, and they had 3 widowed daughters, or no, none of the daughters were married, old maid daughters that lived there, and when they were living there, they had taken off the hood ornaments on the low windows and built a big brick porch, which has been removed, but you can still see the remnants of it. Most things they left in the basement, but those are not there. So I'm going to have somebody refabricate something to match and then something to kind of go with that door, because that door, the rain it runs in the side. So like when I have a really bad rain, I have to put a towel down because it'll run through the moldings of the door. It's been repaired once. Roger Welch actually redid the door once, but it really needs it again. So anyway, I appreciate your
And that's your residence, right?
It is. I've lived there for 20-something years. So I think I bought it in 2000. So, and I don't plan on going anywhere, so I've been trying to, keep it up. I said I'm hoping it'll be my last residence, so, yep. Any questions?
Yes, what, is it visible from the street, alley, both?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so if you are in front of the house, you can definitely see, I mean, because it's not very far off. My house actually does have a little bit of a yard. It's one of the few, and it has a huge coal chute in the front still. It's like remaining from the old days. But it is very visible, because like you can walk by the sidewalks probably from here to you guys. I mean, it's right there. So if you look closely, you can see the cracks, and they're probably in those pictures that I had sent her. You can kind of see some of those cracks and fades and things that are going on. We had replaced a lot of the wood seals. That was one of the first projects we did, to replace them with limestone back in the day. That was one of our first big projects, and then it's since been, now we have to work on brick. And that's an important one, because we had, the one we did before, we had it seeped all the way through one of the walls. And I'm afraid that's what's going to start happening with the other that we haven't got to, because when we fixed that, at that point, one day I walked in and the whole, the moisture that was coming through those bad bricks before we repaired it, every bit of wallpaper that was in that house fell from the ceiling in that stairwell to the floor, because it just absorbs moisture. So I want to really get that moisture problem under control before it just starts deteriorating the whole building. Because once brick crumbles, it crumbles. So,
Any questions?
any other questions?
No, sir.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.
Do we have someone here representing 403 West Second?
Randy and Debbie couldn't make it tonight, so they asked me to come represent for them. They're friends of mine, and I'm excited about this project, so I was happy to do it. So the project, basically what they're doing is restoring all the windows in the house, but they're taking it deep. They're actually going to pull all the sashes, get all the operating hardware working again, replace locks, replace rotted wood. These windows are really unique. It's probably hard to tell from the street, but they're actually double-hung windows that have leaded glass as opposed to mutton bars. Never seen a window like it. And they also have wood storm windows, which are very unique as well. A lot of them are casements that are around on the side of the house. There's just a lot of architectural features there, and the reason I was excited about it is for what they're going to pay to do this, they could put aluminum clad windows in with aluminum capping and lose all that. So preserving that particular house, I think, is important because of its exposure. You can see it on two main streets. It sits high on the hill. Everybody notices it. I really appreciate them making the investment to do the preservation. Any new materials that they're going to be using would be appropriate wood, epoxies, things of that nature. There is rot in a lot of the sills and on a lot of the sashes, but with some of the epoxies that they make now for wood fillers, they can do a repair that'll last as long as the wood. You can actually put epoxy on rotted wood and stiffen it back up and be able to make those repairs. It's well beyond maintenance. It's been painted many times, but whenever they've painted it, they've actually caulked the windows shut, painted over the cracks. It's got years and years of that, so just getting all that out so that they can actually go in and do a nice finish job is going to be a tremendous amount of work. And as I mentioned, it's highly visible. I'm sure you stop by. It's kind of hard to get up close enough to the house because of the fences and walls and the gates, but hopefully you were able to see something from the street. And it is their primary residence.
Yeah, it does not look that bad from the street, but from these pictures. It is a beautiful home, though.
Yeah. they've done a lot to it already, so they're definitely investing to make it a nice house. No questions?
Awkward silence. I don't have any to,
No alley, correct? Just the,
There is
sits
no
on the
alley.
corner, but no alley that runs behind it as well, or?
Right, there's a house that backs right up to it, so there is no alleys on that block that I'm aware of. But the way it sits up on the hill, you can actually see it from the street behind as well. Not a lot of it, but you can see parts of it. It's a very visible house.
Any other questions?
No, sir?
Thank you very much. Uh, 311 East Street. Do we have somebody here?
Hello, my name's Addie Davis, and I currently own and live in 311 East Street. Our proposed projects would be to replace the front door, which has some dry rot issues. You can actually see when you're standing in the front room, the sidewalk outside, so you can completely see through it. The door also does not function. It doesn't open and close like it should. We would also like to replace all of the street-facing windows. The windows do not open as well. They have cracks in the window panes, and there's some dry rot issues with those as well. And then we would like to replace the front steps and do a retaining wall to match.
When you mentioned that the front door, I assume that's the door you're talking about, it's not opening properly?
Correct. It does
And
not
the-
open.
And the window in the front, it does not open?
Yeah, none of the windows that were original to the house open.
So is this a safety issue then?
That's why we're wanting to get them replaced, yes.
So the other windows, you said all of the street-facing windows, so then there's
Yes.
windows on the side there as well? Is that like a little sunroom in
Yes,
the back?
that's a sunroom.
Those windows aren't being replaced though, are they?
I believe on the quote that we have them to be replaced.
Okay.
There is some dry rot over there as well.
Gotcha. And then where's the retaining wall gonna go?
Right at the front, there's some pieces of rock that are a dilapidated retaining wall at one point and now has fallen and cracked down.
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
does the alley run behind this?
No.
And that's your residence, right?
Correct.
Okay. How long have you all been there?
I have lived there for 7 years, but I've only owned it for 3. So I rented it before I bought it.
Is he gonna utilize much of this original material?
Yes.
Any further questions?
No, sir. Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you very much. One 135.5 East Main.
Hello, my name's Elizabeth Oxshire. My husband Charles Requette and I own the property on Mulberry in Maine. It's dittos in the bottom, the commercial space, and then my husband and I live on the second and third floor. We've owned the building around 13 years. During COVID, we did the front of the building where we rebuilt and refurbished the windows, removed the paint, and then did masonry repairs. And so now we're trying to continue that work around the corner so that the Mulberry Street side looks as nice as the Main Street side. So we need to refurbish 8 windows. One of those is vinyl. The previous owners installed it, and we want to return it to wood. So we're going to have a custom wood window built so that it all matches. The existing windows are in pretty bad shape with a lot of dry rot, and we've had some glass fall in as well.
That's on the Mulberry side.
So those are not the arched windows, those are just the standard rectangle. And Dennis Webster's going to do that work for us, and he's done a lot of work for us personally as well as the Ohio Theater.
Next will be painting it.
No, we're just going to scrape it.
Oh, you're already, because you can tell you're already letting a lot of the paint come on.
Yeah. We'll repaint the windows, but the rest of it, that building has never really retained paint very well over the years. Like, I've lived here since the 80s, and it always seems to peel off. And we always have people wanting to take their photos over there anyway with that kind of crumbly background. So at least it'll still be a little rustic.
Looks vintage.
It does, yeah. We always walk out to wedding parties out there. It's a surprise.
Anything else?
I'm the next one,
Thank you
too.
very much.
This one's interesting.
Okay. So we also own 142 East Fountain Alley. We've owned that since 2016, and it's located behind Gallery 115 and the Creperie, so it's right there on the intersection of the alley. We've already repaired the masonry, and then now we're wanting to repair the original windows, and then there's this huge carriage house door that's been falling off the track. My husband has to use a huge jack to jack it back into position. Some people tried to break in a week ago and knocked it off the track again, so for safety reasons, we really need to stabilize that door because it's probably a 15-foot, if not bigger, door. And we know it's popular. We don't want to replace it with something more modern. I think every photographer in town stands in front of that green door and does their senior photos, so we want to keep it looking good and don't want to put a new garage door or anything like that in. We want to keep the original wooden door.
What do y'all use that for?
Right now, just storage. We've been so focused on working at the Ohio Theater that we haven't really been able to work on our personal projects, but right now it's storage, and we're just trying to keep the building in as good a shape as possible so that eventually, hopefully, a business or something could go in there, because it'd be a nice little speakeasy kind of location. It's tucked away.
These bars that are on the window.
Yep.
Those getting removed?
Those are original, and Dennis, what are we doing with the bars?
Those are built into the structure.
They're built into the structure, if you couldn't hear that on the audio. So we will be,
They'll be sanded, we'll treat them for rust, and then repaint.
Okay. So, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm probably am. Will there be new materials put in there? You're keeping the same door.
correct.
So what new materials, if any, will you
So,
be using?
do you want to talk a little bit about the refurbishment, sorry? On the carriage house.
Most of the lumber that's used on the carriage house that's been replaced previously was treated lumber, and there's small sections of shiplap, tongue and groove. We'll probably go with the treated tongue and groove, and then give it time to dry and repaint.
So because of the way that sits in the alley, can you see it when you're coming down Mulberry? If you look over, do you
Yeah.
see? You can see it.
Can you see it just from the street or from an alley too?
From the alley and then also Mulberry Street.
That's what I thought.
So then I guess technically part of Third Street as well, you could see it as you drive by.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you.
I think we're good. Thank you. We have someone here from 917 West First.
Ryan Rogers, I'm here. I actually have been working with Sam. I did the design work and did the zoning and everything for him, so I told him I would do this for him as well. This project, they're actually building an addition on the back of the house, but as part of that addition, they're going to address the front of the house, which has had vinyl siding put on it, aluminum capping. And what they did is they actually brought it down and went over the stone as well. So the big advantage of this project is going to be exposing all the original detail that's been covered up over the years. It's a little different shotgun. It actually had a porch that went all the way down the side on one side, so we're curious to see what's underneath of it, but we believe there's stone piers there, and they'll do whatever's appropriate between those. It's really hard to say until we uncover it. But the west side of the house is all stone foundation. We do know that. We're going to go back with LP Smart Siding and LP Smart Siding trim around the windows as opposed to aluminum capping. They're going to go ahead and replace the roof as part of the addition. I believe it's got an asphalt shingle roof on it now, so it's basically a like for like on that. But he's making a pretty substantial investment, and it is broken out for just the siding work, which is primarily the original house, is where they're doing the most work. You can't see it from the alley in the back. You can also see it from First Street. The alley view is going to be what's nice, because if you look at the houses that are a couple of houses down to the west, those houses had vinyl siding over the foundations as well, and that gives you an idea of what we're expecting to find under the siding that's there now. It is their residence. They have 2 residents, but it's the residence where they stay all summer.
Any other questions?
Just to mention, the siding work is about 25, but his overall investment's going to be well over 100, so.
Thank you. Okay, 414 East 3rd Street. Do we have anybody here? Okay. We'll come back to that one in case they show up. Do we have anybody here for 200 Ferry Street?
I'm Robert Bonch. This is for my daughter on her house. She lives on Ferry Street there. She's wanting to replace the windows, and they're wood now. Some of them are broke, some don't even work. Some of the caulking is bad on it. And I put in an application back in last year, March. Some way it kept getting put back, and then they ran out of money, so I'm here try to get her to replace some of the windows, just so they can work for safety for her. She's a younger daughter. Like I said, some of them are broke or cracked and stuff and don't even work. I got B&R supposed to do the work on it. And he's going to go with the Quaker windows, aluminum chats. That's what was required for me to put in.
Does this work all around the house?
Pretty much. Yeah, there's windows all the way, windows all the way around.
So where this house is located, can you see it all around? You can't you? Because isn't there a little access road there on one side?
No, there's a neighbor, really on 2 sides. The main side is right where Key West Shrimp House is kitty corner from that. So you can see going up that First Street there.
Right.
And then the one that's going where they're building all them houses back there. So you can see real good from two. Well, really at the back when you're coming back, you can see 3 ways. The one side, the neighbors can see, but
Okay.
I mean, I guess coming down to Key West, you can see that. So
Yeah, from the River Lawn Road, I guess.
yeah,
call
I
it
guess you
River
can
Road.
really see from all the way around the house. Like I said, I'm mainly for safety because, like I say, they don't work and they're cracked and
They don't open at all?
there's a few of them that don't. And there's a couple that's cracked, so I hate to see her even open them just to. Like I said, I've been trying to get this done for a year now.
Has this been reviewed by the Historic Board of Review?
Yes.
Okay, it's got their approval?
Yes.
Okay.
They're the ones that wanted me to do the aluminum clad windows.
And this is her residence, right?
Yes, it is. On the deed, it said 1956, but I think it was older than that, but not for sure.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And do we have anyone here for 805 East Second Street?
Sorry about this. I've been sick with the virus. My name's Beverly Lyons, and I'm a newbie to historical home ownership. So I'm still somewhat traumatized, learning about plumbing and HVAC and so forth. All the windows, I think there's a total about 15 windows. Brianna came to my home and helped me. I didn't know what PACE was. So this has been a real education for me and making sure that what we do meets the criteria for the historical homes. But all the windows are painted shut or caulked shut and none of them open. And there's 5 big ones. One of them faces the street and then it goes to the bedrooms, and then another one off the living room. 2 of them have fractures in it. So for the winter, for us to get through the winter, and this is Miss Lily, she lives there with me, I taped all the windows as best I could to reduce the airflow. We had heating failure during zero weather, so we did have some frost inside the window. I have since got HVAC system put in, which hopefully we'll get that connected pretty soon after we get a gas line put in. So it's been quite the journey, but we're happy. I'm from Madison, so I'm happy to be back. All my family's from here. But the company we went to is local, and they have done the historical home windows, and they said that this could be done like in 2 separate projects, because the big windows are the ones obviously that are leaking most of the air, and made things fairly chilly during the winter, but we got through it. And so that's really what I'm here for. I wish I had a greater story to tell, but I'm still learning.
How long have you owned the property?
I just closed November the 5th. Our first night was December 9th, before we could stay there due to technical issues. And our first night, then our plumbing went out. So that has semi been resolved, not completely, but we're working on it. And then they had split units in there without any primary source of heat. So in 0-degree weather, the split units did not support the house. And so I got space heaters to get through the really cold weather, and I consulted a couple HVAC local companies. And so we did get the HVAC put in because I can't do 0-degree weather.
No.
Yeah. It was not pleasant, but we're getting through it. And we're still happy to be here.
So the project is, what you're replacing is visible from the street. Is it visible from a side street or an alley as well?
Well, there's an alley behind the house, but it's dead end.
Well, but it's an
Yes,
alley back
and-
there, and
And
it's...
then, those shotgun houses have the little door to the side.
Mhm.
I haven't even gotten that far, as far as there are more things to do.
Okay.
But I have to deal with what's most critical.
Right.
And that's, the windows, you can't, nobody's going to get in unless they break the window, but you can't get out either.
Mm.
So that's, obviously a safety issue for us. So my plan was and thought was to get the biggest windows replaced first, and then maybe next year, because I've had to be out for the HVAC and the plumbing, and that's not over, then maybe next year we can complete the windows. I don't know what they call them, but they're ones that are higher up, kind of like galley windows. I'm not sure what they call them, but those are caulked shut to keep them from falling out. So that project we can do hopefully at a later date.
It looks like some of these windows, according to the pictures, are actually separating
They are.
from the house.
Yeah, they are, but I'm not a window expert. I'm just, I took pictures and I sent them, but it's been very educating myself on the type of windows that need to be in there. But yes, best thing I could do is tape them in to get through this winter. And then, dealing with what are the major issues, which is the plumbing and the HVAC, and we are at this phase of the renovations.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And that brings us back to 414 West 3rd. I haven't seen anyone else come in, but is there anybody here that represents that one? Okay. I see no one.
That is mine. Thank you.
Okay, while we're waiting to get the scores put together, I'm not aware of any old business that we have. Nope, okay. Okay, with no old business, we'll sit tight for a couple of minutes while she finishes the scores.
I'd be curious to know how many people have windows that
I think that's probably pretty common.
can't. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Okay. So, for 1/6 LLC, which is 1 West 6th Street, that was a score of 42. For 515 Jefferson Street, that was a 37. For 418 East 2nd, it was a 42.5. For 403 West 2nd, it was a 44.75. For 311 East, it was 39.25. For 135 East Main, it was 37.25. For 142 East Fountain Alley, it was 35.75. For 917 West First, it's a 47. For 200 Ferry Street, it was a 32.75. And for 805 East 2nd Street, it is a 41.25. 41.25. That one, that's the amendment one. 215 East Street.
So we have, two separate motions that we need to address. The first being the amendment. So we have a motion to accept the amendment. We have a second. All in favor? Aye. So the amendment passes. And then on the main business of the day, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 applications with qualifying scores, with 1 application that does not have qualifying score. If my math is right, that looks,
I believe there were 2 that did not have qualifying scores.
oh, you're right, there are 2. So we have 2 applications that do not have qualifying scores. Applications that do have qualifying scores are 1 West 6th, 515 Jefferson, 418 East 2nd, 403 West 2nd, 311 East Street, 135 East Main, 917 West First, and 805 East Second. If my math is correct, we do have adequate funding to fund all of those applications. And yes, we do. So do I have a motion to recommend those applications to the Board of Public Works?
Go ahead.
I make motion to recommend about the board.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much. Some very good applications, very good projects presented tonight. So I wish all of the applicants well with the projects. Very good. With that, our next meeting is May 13th here at City Hall at 5:30. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Good night.
Did you say May 13th?
Whatever it was on my
Your
piece of paper I was looking at.
Okay. I probably will not be at that one.
We're still, camera's still on.
Okay.
Well, actually, I had another meeting, this is Pace, so, I'm county council, so I had time to get there, but, usually come to city council, they usually cover those. Got somewhere, you're asked to read it. I got somewhere else I need to.
Thank you, guys. I heard, I know. I said, well,